Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
And Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast with Jeff Mosher and this man, Adam Caplan. And it is brought to you locally by Caesars Entertainment Group of Atlantic City. Come experience the ultimate sports destinations all season long at the Wild Wild West, Tropicana, and Harrah's Atlantic City. Book your game day experience today at Caesars.com. There he is. Adam Caplan is in the house as we bring you Football at 4 on a Happy Hour Friday. Adam is new to the Happy Hour Friday. You were on Thursdays for a while, and now you're on Happy Hour Friday. It's a lot more fun on Friday, Adam.
It is, Mike. No, I'll be here on Fridays the rest of the regular season. We're assuming the Eagles won't be a playoff team. If that's the case, yeah, I'll be on Fridays. And, yeah, look, it's cool. And the good thing is we've got the injury report. We'll go over kind of the Eagles injury situation, but that's been resolved. We've got also the Panthers injury situation, which is a little worse than probably I thought a couple days ago. So that's good for Eagle fans and the club.
You're right. The injury report came out. Nick Sirianni said Lane Johnson will not play. So, Adam, Jordan Mailata will play. So how will the Eagles go about the configuration of their offensive line now that they know that Lane Johnson is out and Jordan Mailata is in?
Yeah, Mailata took reps at right and left tackle. He's played right tackle before a couple years ago. Practiced there before, and I think he actually played some snaps at right tackle last season. But when you look at it right now, I would expect Mailata to start at left tackle. Why do I expect that?
That's interesting.
I might be in the minority here. We're going to have some news on our show. We're going to put some news out probably Sunday morning on our show. But I know the way that they think there. They always felt like Mailata would be a left tackle, could play right tackle in a pinch if someone got hurt. Well, yes, Lane Johnson's not going to be available. And Andre Dillard has done well in pass protection. But here's the deal. Jordan Mailata is a better football player than Dillard. So going through, they have 3 days of practice to evaluate the way that Mailata moved. They thought the way what we were told, his MCL sprain, it was a 1 to 3 week injury, so he's at the tail end of it. He moved well enough for them to know, as I understand it, Thursday, they kind of knew after Thursday he was going to be able to play. So why would you ask him to go over to right tackle when he's been playing left tackle and practicing at left tackle for over a year? Well, why would you ask him to go to the other side just to get Dillard on the field? So they have to ask yourself this question. Are they better off with Mailata at left and Driscoll at right, or Dillard at left and Mailata at right? That's what they have to answer. That'll ultimately be Jeff Stoutland's decision.
Well, I guess the other question might be, Adam, who's the weakest link? Is it Herbig, Driscoll, or Dillard?
Yeah, Herbig by far is the weakest link. So now their plan last week is to go with Driscoll before the Lane Johnson news came out. Was to go with Driscoll at right guard. Dickerson obviously is their left guard until further notice, and then they were going to have Herbig be the third the top backup interior lineman. Now that didn't wind up happening because of Lane Johnson being out, so they had to start Herbig. And by the way, overall their pass protection was really good. That was probably the biggest surprise of the game for me, is that how well they block, considering they did not have a lot of notice on the situation. They found out, I'm told, a couple hours before the game that Lane would not be available. Certainly something that is not, by the way, Lane Johnson also had an ankle injury last year where they found out that he practiced with the team on a Friday. After the walkthrough, it didn't go well, so they had to make plans. But to be able to, Mike, to have to change this right up and the players have to change their focus like that, it's not easy to do. That's a kudos to everybody concerned.
Yeah, I know that this will be interesting because Nick Sirianni said competitive advantage. We don't want to give up that information. So we're going to find out, I guess, on Sunday how they will configure that offensive line. But Adam just kind of broke down a couple different avenues. They can go with
couple scenarios.
Mailata at left tackle. They can go with Dillard at left tackle. Mailata can play right tackle, or Driscoll can play right tackle. Or you go with Herbig at right guard, Driscoll at right tackle. So there's a lot involved there. All right, let's look at the Carolina side, because doubtful for McCaffrey. What does that mean for their offense?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so it's interesting. McCaffrey, I know he was limited. He's got a grade 1 hamstring strain, I'm told. That is in the neighborhood of a 2 to 3 week injury. He just passed the 2 week mark yesterday. So he's very close. So I'm sure he'll play next week if he doesn't have a setback. But Chuba Hubbard will start. He's a 4th-round pick. He's a rookie. This will be a second straight start. But the big one is left tackle Cam Irving. The one issue that the Panthers have, Mike, if they have one, and I think it's legitimate, is their offensive line is probably bottom 5. And if you just outlined the Eagles' depth, you and I just did, the Panthers' depth in the offensive line is not very good. Cam Irving is probably the worst offensive lineman. He's their left tackle. They don't have a lot of choices. They're gonna keep Taylor Moton, their star right tackle. He did take left tackle snaps in training camp. They're gonna leave him at right tackle. So they're either gonna go with Trent Scott, who they claimed off waivers a couple of years ago from the Chargers, or Brady Christensen, who's more of a right tackle, who's a 3rd-rounder of BYU. They're not very good at guard. Their positions they're good at are center and right tackle.
Right.
This is a very impactful situation for the Eagles' defensive line that has not played well lately, other than Hargrave. So the Eagles have a big advantage here. Their defensive line versus the Panthers' offensive line.
Yeah, and one area that I talked about before you came on, Adam, is, look, the Eagles blitz the least amount of times in all of football. It's the lowest percentage.
Yep.
Sam Darnold, though, if you know one thing, I mean, his track record is he turns the ball over in 2 ways. He throws interceptions and he fumbles the ball. So I understand, fine. You want to tell me I don't want to blitz Mahomes because he's going to pick me apart. Isn't this a week where you want to see, hey, man, I need you to – if I'm Nick Sirianni, am I going – he said the conversation was a little harsher this time. Am I telling him, hey, this is the week that I need to see you bring a little more?
Yeah, it's interesting. Sirianni, one of the things we had done some reporting on him when he was hired is that he coaches his coaches hard, and he's not even hiding it. And then Marcus Hayes had a really good piece today covering this situation where on a sourcing, Sirianni let him know that he needs to be more aggressive. So that's the question. And this would be the week to do it. If you're ever going to do it, this would be the week to blitz. They only blitz about 11% of the time. They're number 21 in pressures. The funny thing about everything that they do is, and this is not good, they're 32nd ranked in blitz at 11%. They play the most zone coverage at 83%. They run a very vanilla defense the last 2 weeks. This is the week. And here's another damning stat. 73% completion rate versus opposing quarterbacks ranked 29th. All those numbers are bad, but Sam Darnold, when he struggled against the Jets, he would not process well. He'd hold on the football, but I'm told he's processed a lot better. But you got to make it harder for him. In week 1 against Atlanta, Mike, they made it hard for Matt Ryan because they disguised their defense. They don't disguise anymore. So Jonathan Gannon's got to get himself together. He's not coached well the last couple of weeks.
Adam, what do you make of the whole – you mentioned the Panthers have maybe a bottom 5 offensive line in terms of talent. What do you make of this week that seems to be pile-on Fletcher Cox week? Fair or unfair?
Well, they play different techniques now because they're playing a 34 front. They play 43 and a 34. We saw this in training camp, but we didn't really know what it would mean. Because of the Brandon Graham injury, that certainly pretty much impacted their defense. They're a little bit stronger than we expected, but the techniques are different than he's used to. Than with Jim Schwartz's front, he didn't play any 34. He only played 43. Fletcher Cox's job was to get the quarterback. It was not to push the run inside and funnel it, playing that 4-eye technique, which Josh Sweat has kind of struggled with a little bit. It is what it is. He's not comfortable in it now, but you know what? What Fletcher Cox has to understand is that's his job. Whatever they tell you when you're being paid, what you're being paid, just do the job. I know it's not what you want. It's a different mindset. That he's not. Star players are not used to being asked to do something different in their 30s. That's just the reality of it. He's being asked to do it, Mike, and if he's struggling with it, Hargrave's the star. And as Sirianni talked about, there are plays where he's in this new front that they're playing. He's going to have to take on double teams. That's what happens. They also play some 2-gap. Unfortunately, Cox, sometimes it's a 2-gap.
Hey, Darius Slay had kind of, he tweeted out, hey, I'm not the problem on this defense. People are not throwing at me. I'm doing a good job. Do they have the coverage with Nelson and Slay that they should be playing a little bit? You mentioned how much they're playing zone. Should they be playing more man? Because I think one of the things over the last couple of years is they're getting beat over the top so much. They didn't have the talent on the outside. Should they play more man with those guys? And you mentioned this week you got the Eagles D-backs against, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, the tight ends How's that matchup in this one?
Yeah, so it's interesting. They played about 8% more man than they had been last week, but they're still the lowest playing man coverage in the NFL. The thing that I think teams are worried about with Steven Nelson is if you play man, he's a physical, tough, smart guy, but he doesn't run. He's not a fast guy. Slay's got good size. He runs fairly well. But you were really worried about getting Nelson exposed in man coverage. It's probably part of why they're not playing a lot of man coverage. But we were told in February they're going to be a zone team, but we just didn't think it would be this heavy.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you want to – DJ Moore, there's probably no receiver in the National Football League playing better than he is. He's been incredible. He's on a contract year. And then Robbie Anderson, it's weird. He's become a possession receiver. And last year he was their deep threat.
Right.
Moore was their possession guy. So it's kind of flip-flopping. And what's odd about it is Anderson had all those years with Sam Darnold. It doesn't really make any sense to me. But no, I don't – coaches typically don't change very much. That's the thing I've learned from play callers. They do what they do. Now he's running. The thing about Gannon is, Mike, we didn't really know how much of an influence Mike Zimmer would have. Well, where's the AA gap blitzes? Where's the aggressiveness? We saw a lot of aggressiveness.
Right.
Mosher and I did in training camp. We're not seeing that anymore. I don't quite understand it, and I'm glad that Sirianni got after him a little bit because this is embarrassing what they put out there the last 2 weeks.
Well, and you have those linebackers, that are kind of stuck in no man's land. You got the safeties so far back. Teams are just running. You want us to run? Fine. I mean, San Francisco had 90-yard drives because you're giving me those linebackers. We're just going to run at them. Teams are looking at those linebackers, and they don't cover very well. So you got a double-edged sword.
Right. I had a joke last week. I had Jeff laughing 2 weeks ago. I said it was after the Dallas game that they had the safety so far back. They should have just got Chris Maragos to stand back there 30 yards. Do you remember? Do you remember when Maragos had to play? He was only a special teams player. They were down. They must have lost 4 safeties. So what they did is they just told him, stand back, just go back, just like you're returning a punt. Just go back there as a single high safety because they didn't want to get him exposed. So yeah, you saw last night, if you watched the Seattle game, did you see how much space that Seattle playing their cover 3? They gave up too much space. And Cooper Kupp, particularly Robert Woods, crushed their zone all night. The Eagles are getting their zones crushed. They have to play tighter zone. They haven't done it.
All right, let's flip over to the offense. I think the running game obviously is a big one. The RPO. Jalen Hurts, that's secondary. Do they continue to run RPO against, which is a good Carolina defense, although they have some injuries?
Yeah, that's an interesting question with the RPOs because they're top 3 in RPOs. They're very predictable with it. The Eagles are pretty much a college offense now. You could say Arizona's the most college offense, but they're right up there. So they're kind of predictable, but it's work. But they don't really have what someone told me is a base run game. They don't really have a natural run game. It's schemed up with RPOs. So I don't know. The other problem that they have is because their defense is so pathetic. They're having to throw probably more than they like. And right now Kenny Gainwell in terms of touches is getting right where Miles Sanders is. Sanders is getting way more snaps, but the touch total, which is more important. Gainwell now has a clearly defined role in their backfield. He's probably not, unless something changes, I don't think he'll ever get less than 10 touches a game now. It's pretty clearly defined. They're going to line him up as a screen back. They're going to use him like these coaches want. Miles Sanders' role is not defined. I don't quite understand what they're doing with him.
Yeah, I was gonna follow up with that. We asked about him a lot last year, and now we're asking about him again. Do these coaches just not value Sanders like it seems other people do?
Well, here's the problem. They're not making any commitment to run the football. And that's the problem here. When you don't run the football, you don't make an attempt to really run it. Do you really need anyone other than a passing down back? That's like Austin Eckler is a perfect example of the Chargers. Okay. He's only going to get 10, 11, 12 carries per game. Okay. They've got 2 power backs behind him. That seems to work for them. Well, remember, this is only the 5th game for this new coaching staff. I understand that the pass run ratio has gotten a little bit away from Sirianni, and he said they need to run the ball. Saying it and doing it is another thing, but as we go forward here, I don't know what Sanders is going to be. And remember, this is a 3rd-year or 4-year deal. I don't know what he's going to be as a running back here. They just don't have. They have not defined what he's going to do.
All right, give me a matchup where the Eagles match up well offensively. They've scored 30 points twice now this year, Adam. They didn't do that at all last year. The offense is growing a little bit here. So where's a spot on Sunday where they have an advantage?
Yeah. So here's the thing, Mike. The Panthers blitz. I mean, they blitz a lot. They're number 2 in blitz at 41%. They don't give up. They're great at yardage after the catch, at least through the first 3 games. Last week they were terrible. Dak Prescott threw a touchdown every 6 passes.
Yeah.
He didn't throw the ball very much. When he did, he was very successful. The tight ends crushed Carolina's secondary. They're number 1 in pressures. They hit they're number 3 in hits. They're right in the middle of zone coverage. 59% completion rate, which is really good. But what happens is if you look at their first 3 opponents, they didn't face anyone. Last week they faced a really good offense and they got housed. You can throw against the Panthers if you protect. Remember now, Gilmore's not available until the earliest week 7. They just got C.J. Henderson last week. He didn't play very much, the former first round of the Jaguars. They're not very deep at corner right now, and you could throw against them. If you could protect, if this makeshift offensive line could protect, there are plays to be made. There's no question about it. And the other thing is, and I know we talked about the run game, Miles Sanders. The Cowboys ran all over the Panthers defense. They had their way. They could not stop the Cowboys. So I'm not saying they're going to come out and run a lot in the first half, but they should at least mix it in. Mix the run game in, heavy pass, but mix the run in. They're not really mixing the run in. That's been the problem.
Well, I was encouraged last week, Adam, by the tight ends. They did get the tight ends a little bit more involved against Kansas City. And with no Shaq Thompson here, I think that you might be able to, be effective at the tight end spot again this week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt. Shaq Thompson's the guy who would be on the tight ends, no doubt. And Goddard had a really good game last week, and so did Ertz. That was the thing. Like, if we put our 10 complaints on the Eagles' offense, they kind of solved 3 of them. And I understand the Chiefs don't have a very good defense, but that was good to see. Things I'd like to see is get Quez Watkins more involved, get Jalen Reagor more involved in the pass game. And then obviously the big one is get Miles Sanders. He doesn't need 20 carries. I'm looking 12 to 15 carries a game. That's probably a lot to ask. How about 10 to 12 carries? Could you get me that?
That's the number I gave earlier. Give me 10 to 12. They don't utilize the running back catching the ball out of the backfield all that much. They did
Gainwell does.
They did a great job in week 1. I thought he was terrible the last 2 weeks. I thought last week I gave Sirianni about a C in his game call.
You didn't like him? I thought he did a great job last week.
I thought he did well. I'm saying he went from F to C.
I would have given a B minus. I thought he did a good job. I mean, look.
I loved what he came out with. His first series, I thought they did a really well-designed script, boom, boom, boom. So yeah, it's hard to, I don't know, man, the lack of balance. Like you say, you don't have to do 50-50, but I mean, they're barely 70-30.
Well,
everybody loves what Staley said the other day, the Charger coach, about running the ball. I mean, hey, 60-40, something to that effect. I think it only helps out Hurts.
Yeah, exactly. He does need a run game. The league average somewhere around 57%.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with 62 or 63, but the way that they're doing it, and they don't have a base design run game. They don't have a natural conventional run game, which they really need. I like to see that. And then the other problem that you have is because they're always behind, Sirianni probably for pass tempo feels like he's got to up it because their defense can't stop anyone. The Panthers offense is not lights out like Chiefs. They should be able to hang in this game. This should be a fairly tight game. I'm not going to say they're going to win, but this should be a tight game.
I would say, what's the official Adam Caplan prediction? What do we got here?
Yeah, I got the Panthers, and I think, what did I pick this morning? 24-20, something like that. Panthers.
All right, close one.
Yeah. I do. I give the Eagles a puncher's chance to steal a game here.
Yeah.
But I don't. There's certain ways you can win on the road, and I don't know. I'm so down on Gannon and his understanding, his awareness of what wins. And the lack of aggressiveness is embarrassing. He's a smart guy and a very well thought of person. But these last 2 weeks, he's gone from the penthouse to the outhouse calling plays.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the thing. I think offensively, they have taken some steps. They've improved. It's defensively where you're wondering. Are they the defense that gave up 23 points in 2 games or the defense that gave up 83 points in 2 games? Number 5, let's find out if they're somewhere in the middle. He's Adam Caplan, the Inside the Birds pregame show on Sunday on their YouTube channel. It starts at 10 o'clock in the morning with great insight and analysis, breakdowns like nowhere else. 10 o'clock, Mosher, Caplan, and the crew all on the Inside the Birds YouTube channel. All right, Adam. Take care, buddy.
All right, man. Thank you.
Happy Hour Friday edition of Football at 4 here on the Sports Batch is brought to you by Caesars Entertainment Group, Atlantic City. And, of course, if you check out the ultimate sports destinations all season long at Caesars, Tropicana, Wild Wild West, Harrah's Resort. You can book your game day experience today at Caesars.com.